stalking Sarah and Christian, but they're gonna do their one-on-one now. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy your one-on-one. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See ya.
Okay, now we're gonna pretend it's off.
Wait, so is your thing is on Saturday?
Yes.
Bummer. I'll be out of town.
Why? Where are you gonna be?
I am going to Chicago for the weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
For what?
Well, to see some buddies, and then also the Gophers are playing at Gophers hockey are playing at Soldier Field. So let's see that.
That'll be cool.
That'll be cool.
Excited.
Yeah.
It's so weird because I'm from Milwaukee and Chicago's
Right.
like not far away at all.
Yeah.
And then from here it's like 8 hours, and like that's just so weird.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a hike.
Yeah, because people will go to Chicago for the weekend like and home, and it's like not a big deal. But
Yeah.
like, and then so I still think that, and I'm like, oh wait, that's like 8 hours away.
Right.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I'm thinking. It kind of depends on. My roommate was originally gonna go with me, but now like he's having trouble getting off work. So like, I might just leave tomorrow night and go see a friend in lacrosse, and then stay over. Otherwise,
That
it's
could be
just
good.
a straight shoot.
Yeah.
and
Are you
whatever.
taking the megabus?
Still don't know. It kind
Oh.
of depends on what like.
Right.
If I can stay in
Yeah.
lacrosse or if my buddy's coming with me. So
Yeah.
I want to drive, but
Yeah.
not really trying to pay $200 on gas for
Right.
the driving capabilities.
Do you have a car here?
No, but I like it's a weird situation because my brother just turned 16, and like so he's gonna use the car
Yeah.
that I use in high school, but he hasn't gotten his license yet, so I've kind of been using it, and
Okay.
so it's like at my
Yeah.
parents' house. And
Okay, got it. Got it.
I'm also not confident that it can make it to
Really?
yeah
That's
to
so
Chicago.
funny. Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, one-on-one.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny how we have like all these connections.
I
Like,
know.
Really strange. Like,
Right.
oh, we have the same birthday.
Yeah.
You went to high school with.
One of your roommates. Yeah. No, I know that is weird.
But so
It's fun.
I guess
Just to follow.
place to start. Where or why are you here? Why did you come to the U of M?
U of M?
Yeah.
I was deciding between. Well, actually, okay. So I wanted to go to University of Oregon. That was like,
Really?
yeah,
Cool.
that was like my main
Any
thing.
reason why?
It
Or
just seemed pretty legit. And
Yeah.
like I picked schools based off of who had a public relations major.
Oh,
and like
cool.
when
Okay.
you're looking into the when you're looking at the U's majors, it doesn't look like we have one. So like I originally wasn't going to apply here because I thought we didn't have one, but then like we do. It's just through the J school, you know. So that was kind of confusing, but anyway, so then I like thought I wanted to go really far away, like either go like I'm not much of an East Coast person, but either go like somewhere south or
yeah.
like
somewhere.
ultimately West Coast was what I realized I would like fit in best.
Yeah.
But so I was gonna go to Oregon, and then I just applied to the U randomly because like it didn't have an essay, so
Right,
and
yeah.
I was like,
It takes 15
might
minutes,
as well.
whatever.
Yeah, and then I got into Oregon, and we like visited there, and my mom was like, oh, it's like really rainy here, and was just like being like really negative the whole time, and I was like what's going on? Because she originally was like super excited about it, and was like, oh my god, that's gonna be so perfect for you, like
Yeah.
you know, and she was just like basically like it's too far away, like I don't want you to be so far away because I'm like really close with my parents and especially my mom, and so then I was like, okay, well that's awkward. And then I ended up getting into the U, and then so it was like between those two because the U's in-state tuition, and like it's closer and it's a better school for less money, and like basically it was really like between those two. And then I just was like, I'm gonna feel so guilty in Oregon where it's not even gonna be worth it because
Right,
like
yeah.
even though my dad was like, you know, like my sister went to Arizona, so she was like, you can go out of state, like it's not like fiscally you don't have to worry about it, like you can go, like. And then, but I just knew that I would be like limited in my choices there because I would be like, all right, I'm already just like to fly out there, it's like $800, and like so to like come home for like Thanksgiving break, like probably wouldn't happen. Like Christmas break would just be expensive. You know what I mean? Like it was just like it's not worth it. So I kind of was like, I'll come to Minnesota for a year, and if I don't like it, then I'll apply to Oregon and try to get scholarships. And like that was my plan. Like I thought I was gonna hate it here, and then I just absolutely loved it.
Oh, good.
So yeah.
What was
That's
like
that
the
story.
main thing that made you change your mind?
About like loving
yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
I think I just kind of came into it like not expecting much, like
Right.
being like it's Minnesota, like what does that have to offer? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just like I was ignorant. Like I didn't know. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the cities really. Like I was just so surprised by it. And I think like joining my sorority helped a lot too, because that was like right in the beginning. And I roomed with one of my friends from high school, and that actually worked out really well because she's like.
Yeah.
Because she's crazy. Like, she's like I consider myself an outgoing person, but she's like me on cocaine. Like,
Yeah.
she is literally she can walk into a room and people, like, know she's there right away, but once you meet her, like, you don't forget her. Like, she's like that memorable. And so it was kind of annoying being like always introduced as like, oh, this is Ingrid's roommate, but at the same time, like, I met so many more people just because like she met so many people, you know, like where it was kind of like it was semi annoying, but like it was like, okay, you gave me like such a great year just from being like who you are, so that was really helpful too. Like,
That's lucky that it worked out well.
Yeah,
It's always kind of like a crapshoot
Yeah.
because like you kind of know a person, but then when
Right.
you live with someone, you really know them.
and like we weren't best friends like in high school. I mean, like we were just like
Yeah.
you know, regular friends. And so it was like, okay, if this doesn't work out, it's not the worst friendship. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like my best friendship I've ever had being ruined. But if it does, then it would be really cool. And like,
That's
it
awesome.
worked out. Yeah.
So you joined a sorority right away,
Mm-hmm.
and was that like something you always wanted to, or it just
No,
like
it
you
was
got
like
here
it
and
was
felt
pretty
right?
spur of the moment. I was like, you know, like I took the easy way out by rooming with like someone I know. Like everyone else is like with these roommates that they don't know, and like that's kind of like that's taking a risk, you know. So
Right.
I was like, I need to do something that like is pushing me out of my comfort zone, and like you know, like what's something I can do that's like that. I'm like, well, if I want to meet people, like why don't I just go through recruitment? Like that's meeting a lot of people. Like we'll see how it goes, and like my cousin's in a sorority at Madison, and she's a year older than me, and like she's in PR, and like I don't know, I've just always kind of like we've always been close, so I would like that's probably where the main like idea of it came from. But other than that, I didn't really consider it, and I don't know, I originally didn't like it that much. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of like, what is all this madness? But then I just like really got into it and really
Yeah.
liked it, and like realized that I ended up in the one I'm in for a reason, and like
Yeah.
we have so much in common. We just,
Really?
yeah, it's
What's
really cool.
what are like some of the common things
Well,
or what makes you
Mainly,
say that?
like
That's interesting.
my favorite thing about it is that, like, about my personal house is that everyone is so different, and like there's not like a certain mold that like I mean that you can find in other chapters, and like a lot of people definitely think of when they think of sororities. It's like, oh, they're all the same, like they all look the same, and that's just something that's definitely not true in my house. And like I kind of like that because all my best friends from high school were all like, we all have like things that make us very different, and so it was kind of nice to like have it be that same dynamics of like everyone has these similarities, like these common values, but
Right.
then we're all so different and can just like learn from each other and like
Yeah.
go off of each other's personalities.
Do you feel like it
that.
still is like pushing you out of your comfort zone, or
I
has it
think-
kind of become the comfort zone for you?
I think it probably now has become part of it, but there's still always ways that I can like challenge myself through it, you know, like now that I'm vice president of recruitment, so I'm going to be like running everything in the fall, which is like really crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's a big responsibility.
yeah, so that's not something I'm super comfortable with, but at the same time, it wasn't really my idea. Like the girls in my house were like, I think you'd be really good at this, you should do this. And like
Cool.
that was something where I was kind of like, if this works out, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
You know, that like I didn't necessarily believe in myself that I could do it, but they like
It's an
saw the
example
potential.
of invitation.
Right, exactly.
That's-
No, that's true. Yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Is that like, and I've been thinking about that recently of like, because I was philanthropy coordinator last year, and then what Talia's on now, the PANHEL, which is
Yeah.
like kind of like the student government, but like of
For
the
group,
sororities,
yeah.
you know. And so I was on like the junior PANHEL last year, so it was like the one for new members, And so I had like 2 positions last year, and then I was thinking about that I had like this big position this year, and I was like kind of like being an officer has become like my comfort zone. You know what I mean? I was like, I wonder if next year, if I didn't have a position, what house would feel like to me. Because that's really all I know it as is like being in this leadership position.
Being busy,
you know,
busy,
Right. And so I was like just really based off of our conversation last night, I started thinking about like, what would that look like for me? Like, how would I see the house? And I don't know.
Or what else would you see?
Right. Yeah. Because I was kind of thinking like when I was talking about like thinking of what I need to say yes to and what I need to say no to, I'm like, what if I stopped being so involved in this and like started being so involved in like PR or SSA or like something like that, you know, if I started doing more like career focused things. And I'm like, but I don't know that I want to, so I don't know.
Well, you got time to,
but it
to
was
do
just,
all those career things.
Right. It was just like a weird thing that never occurred to me that I, you know, because like everyone always like assumes that I'm gonna like run for some other position or like be president or something like that. You know, like they expect me to do those like big leadership positions. Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Well, I mean, that's gotta feel good at least to know that like people will hold you in that high regard.
Right.
But,
Right. But then at the same time, it's like, but if I wasn't in this, like, you know, it's kind of like is leadership positional or everywhere. Like, if I didn't have a position, would I still be like looked up to in the house? And I don't mean to say that I'm like holding myself to some high, like, but you know what I mean? Like, would I if I wasn't
you gotta
in this?
be aware of like where you are.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just like a weird thing that I didn't think of until that last night.
You said that you were looking at schools specifically with public relations.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide, like, and why did you decide, like, yes, public relations? That's like such a specific thing.
I know. My junior year, I like was studying for the ACT, and I was just like, what am I going to do with my life? And got really like worried about it. So I just started like researching all these careers that I had to do with people. Like that was like what I remember like typing in was like just basically searching careers that had to do with people skills and like when you're going to be interacting with people. And I just like was reading a lot of descriptions of like certain jobs, and then I like read about public relations, and I was like, yep, there we go. And I like planning things, so I think it's just kind of like once I had that plan, I just kind of stuck to it. And like everyone's always been like, oh, you change your major all the time in college, and I was like, no, I won't. Like, no, don't tell me that. I don't want to, you know, because like that just sounds stressful to me. Like, you know, like starting something off and going with that, and then changing it. And like, I don't like it.
So you haven't wavered at all? No. That's cool. I mean, that must feel good to have that stability.
Right. And I don't know, it's weird, because like, I don't really know why I haven't, but I mean, I think also it's weird because I have a lot of passions. Like, I'm really passionate about a lot of things, which most people don't normally say, but like a lot of my passions are related to health. Like, a lot of the things I have the most interest in are health related, so it's kind of weird that I'm not studying that, but I'm not good at science, and like, so to study that, even if it's something that I would really love, I just can't see myself doing well on it. And like, I just feel like if you're paying this much to go to school, you should focus on like your strengths rather than like, I'm going to try to get better at chemistry. Like, you know, I don't know, it's a weird thing.
That is interesting. I would imagine that you like the leadership a lot then. Yeah. Just because that's like what this is. It's not about like the technical knowledge or what you learn in class. It's more about what you learn about yourself.
Yeah. And like, I really like learning from other people too, you know, like just all of our class discussions, like even though it's like, you know, when I think it was Jacqueline said something about like, oh, I don't have a checklist of what like we accomplished today. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm having a blast. Like, I love like talking about all these things. Like,
that's cool.
I don't know. It's just so refreshing from like all of their classes. Like, even last semester, like leadership frustrated me so many times. Like that the class just like with like the like obscure deadlines and like just random things. I was like, what is going on in this class? But there was still something that I enjoyed about it so much, and like I wanted to continue on it.
It sounds like you have an interesting balance of like being okay with like really short term like ambiguity and like not getting, but that like long term stuff and
Yeah.
when you're uncertain, that's not something
Right.
that you like.
It
Is that something like you
no,
struggle?
that's true. It's really weird because like on one hand, from all like my yoga and whatnot, I'm really relaxed. But then on the other hand, I'm like really like type A, like schedule, like have to figure everything out. And like I'm always really confused by it too. Like I'm like, because it's a weird dynamic. But
Is
I don't
yoga
know.
like a refuge for you?
yeah,
Like a mental
definitely.
mental break?
And so is running. Like
Yeah.
I like that's how I stay sane basically,
Yeah.
and like that's why I take on so many things, and like how I can live in a house of 38 girls and like be sane is from the time that I have to myself during yoga and
Yeah.
running. Like
Do you value time spent alone or time with other people?
I think other people, but the time that I value that I'm spending alone is exercise, like
Yeah.
yoga and running, you know, like and other exercise, but that's the main two. And like so, but otherwise I'm not really like a like time by myself type person.
Yeah.
Like I'll meditate, and that has like a purpose, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm not one to like chill like by myself. Like I don't just like hang out and do
Yeah.
nothing. Like that just never happens.
Yeah.
I seriously don't have time for it. I don't
Yeah.
know how, but I don't.
Does that wear you down ever? Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So when
It's-
you get worn down, what is your response? Like your mental,
My what?
mental and emotional
Yeah.
response to getting worn down.
It's usually lots of stress and losing a lot of sleep, because that's the first thing to go when I don't have time for something, is I cut that out, and it usually doesn't work well like in the long term, you know? And so yeah, I usually just get stressed out to the point where I'm like crying and need to like get my life together again and figure out like reschedule where things are gonna move. And
You're
like,
a rock bottomer.
yeah,
You want to get it all out at once
Yeah.
and then rebuild.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does, that's it.
Yeah. Who are your best friends?
My best friends.
Yeah.
I have. It's interesting. I have 6, mainly 5, but 6 best friends from high school that I still consider my best friends. And 2, one I was just on the phone with, 2 that are twins. They go to SLU. They're a year younger than me. And then Ingrid, who's my roommate last year,
Okay.
and her roommate are 2 of my best friends from the dorms last year. His roommate, you know. Then she lives with my big in my story, so that's best friend. And then there's a few more in the house. I don't even know how many. I haven't really evaluated that. But I've always noticed that I have tiers of best friends. Like
Yeah.
you know, most people say like, oh, I have one best friend, and 2 close friends. I'm like, no, there's ranges of
Yeah.
like how close but I consider them my best friends. You know what I mean? Like I would feel weird calling any of them like, oh, they're a close friend. You
Right,
know, like
yeah.
it doesn't do it justice.
Just best friend.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Probably
Do you-
all the relationship building strengths. Just
Yeah. Do you have like a go-to person for like those moments when you're rock bottoming? Or do you like to keep that to yourself?
I think I talked to my mom about stress,
Yeah.
about being overwhelmed. But other than that, it's probably myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't I definitely have people that I go to for certain situations of like if certain things are stressing me out. I have like certain people I go to.
Yeah.
But if I get to the point of just being absolutely overwhelmed, like for whatever reason, it's usually I try to fix it myself.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Totally. that
Yeah.
resonates with me too. What
Okay.
I wonder how many swings we have in common.
Oh my gosh, let's find out. Okay. Woo.
Yep.
I believe you have. Yes. Positivity.
Nope.
Communication.
Nope.
Developer.
Nope.
Includer.
Only one.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What are yours?
I have woo, individualization, learner, achiever, strategic.
Okay.
So kind of the same. I
Yeah.
feel a little bit of a
Yeah.
relationship.
I think achiever is my sixth strength.
Yeah.
Like if I had six achiever.
Yeah, I was
I'm
surprised by
that, yeah.
you.
I
not
think
being-
I think I've come more into my achieving ways through college though, and I took the strengths test at the beginning of college.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if I took it now.
Yeah.
like-
Wouldn't it be interesting
Yeah.
to take it again?
But at the
See
same
what's
time,
different?
it's like I don't. It's like I don't know that I want to like. Now that I know them, I
Yeah.
don't like. I feel
You
like I
wanna
would
own
answer
them.
the questions like being like, oh, I need to get achiever this time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like.
feel you.
I don't know that I could take it again.
That's a
Like,
good point. I hadn't thought
Yeah.
about that. the just
Right.
having the knowledge of like.
Yeah, what it is.
I want to
yeah.
be an achiever, so
Yeah.
yeah, you can cheat
Or
the
like
system
I
a
should
little
answer
bit
this in a
better.
positive way, like so
Yeah.
I get positivity. Like you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, but
Where-
I like my strengths. I do.
Yeah. What do you think is the one that most fits who you are?
Positivity
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's like literally that's the other thing that keeps me sane.
Yeah.
is It defines like my entire outlook. It's just
Yeah.
how I think about everything how I try to think about everything and like one of the like when we were talking about loss the day during class when you were talking about that's like another big thing of just positivity is that when Sydney, my friend, passed away, like I just realized that I wanted to make the most out of every single
Yeah.
day and have like you only have so much time and like regardless of what that time is, like
Right.
regardless of it, you are so lucky to have this moment of being alive. Like
Yeah.
if you're upset, if you're stressed out, you're lucky to have that headache. You're lucky to have that feeling of
Yeah.
being overwhelmed. Like that is such a powerful gift that you're even able to experience that. So I think that's kind of where the positivity comes from too. It's just like
Yeah.
even when I'm so overwhelmed, like, okay, look what you're overwhelmed about. Like the fact that you have all these amazing leadership positions, the fact that you have like all these experience going on, the fact
Yeah.
that you have a relationship issue going, like, you know what I mean? That you have, like all these things that are causing problems are
Yeah.
blessings in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. Does that? I mean, it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to pick yourself up when you tell
That's usually what I come back to.
Yeah.
It's like you can go away from it and get to that point of being overwhelmed, but the like grounding and coming back to it is
Yeah.
usually through that and just
That's
remembering,
that's an incredible gift to have. That's an infectious gift too,
Yeah.
for sure. Being able to see the bright or
Right.
the silver lining
yeah.
on an issue. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I was talking about this with my mom
Uh-huh.
recently, just how like think about yourself at age 10 and like what has happened in the
Right.
last decade. What
Right.
do you think is going to happen in the next decade?
Yeah. And the way you word that of saying like think about yourself when you're 10, like that's so funny to me because the reason why I like rarely think of questions like that is like if I think who I was in 8th grade, I wouldn't recognize myself today.
Right. Yeah.
And like
isn't it nuts?
yeah, and like my friends would always like make jokes about it too, is because like my sophomore year of high school, I just changed so much. Like that's when I like became really into health and like just started like working a lot harder in school and like got into yoga and just like everything that so much defines who I am now. Like I didn't have any of that stuff in like 8th or 9th grade. So it's just like it's so weird to think about like if I've changed that much in that little of time, like how much I
Right.
could change in 10 years. But 10 years, I would be 30 years old.
Yep. 30 years old and 4 days, 5 days.
Yes. And okay, so I just celebrated my 30th birthday.
Yep.
I can see myself teaching yoga, maybe at Core Power, maybe elsewhere, having a career in PR, still being too busy, but loving it. And I don't know if I can evaluate where I would be like relationship-wise because I'm always reluctant to be like, oh, I'm going to be married by like this time or I'm going to do this by this time just because I think you can get so wrapped up in like age numbers and everything like that. So I don't know that I could even predict that. But
What would you like?
what would I like? whatever would make me happy. That's what I'd like. I think it would be a good time to be like in a very stable relationship or married or something like that, because I'm a people person. I love being like relationships of any kind, like friendships, whatever, like, but so that really nourishes me. So I would say that's where I'd like to be.
Yeah. No kids though?
At 30? I don't think so.
No? Is that something you want in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly because I've always, like, my one of my nicknames was Mother Goose, because I would keep my friend literally texted me yesterday, will you call my work for me? She's at school at Madison, and she's like, will you call my work for me and tell them that I'm sick? So she's like, thanks, Mother Goose. And I called. I'm like, hi, this is Claire Lindsay. Like, I'm feeling really sick, and I called them. So I've always been like, just like a mother figure to my friends and like taking care of them. So I feel like that's something that I should actually eventually do.
You
Probably
owe
be
it
good
to
at
society.
it. Yeah. Exactly.
Are you religious at all?
I don't know.
No.
I
Were you?
never
Raised?
really I was raised Methodist, and I've been confirmed Methodist. Like, I had my confirmation in 8th grade. And like over winter break, I go to church on Sundays mainly because it makes my parents happy. Like, it's not like they're like asking me to go, but I can just like tell that they genuinely enjoy when I go. So I'm like, what's it to me? Like, I might as well just go.
Right,
and like,
yeah.
there's nothing I have against it. I'm just kind of confused by it. Like, it's never really resonated with me, I guess, is the thing. Like, but kind of what we were talking about last night of like, there has to be something.
Yeah.
If these people who have so very little can like believe in it so strongly.
Yeah.
That's the part that kind of gets me. Is like, if there are so many people that can believe in this so strongly, regardless of what they have, like not even based on class, but just like the fact that there's ministers who have been studying this for however long, like if people are passionate about it, there has to be something to it,
substance.
Yeah.
And
And when Sydney passed away, I definitely I didn't think that she just went nowhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
I definitely believe in afterlife and but I also from studying yoga, I take a lot from Buddhism and those readings as well. And so I think the idea of reincarnation is really cool and I just think that would be so awesome and I like the idea of it. And I think it's awesome. And it'd be great if it's true. But, who really knows?
Yeah, who really knows?
Yeah. But I don't want to rule anything out. You know? It's
I respect that. Yeah, for sure. So you are passionate about yoga. Mm-hmm. You're passionate about involvement. Mm-hmm. You're passionate about relationships. Mm-hmm. What am I missing?
Helping people.
Helping people.
Mm-hmm. Health in general,
Health.
Nutrition.
What made you said that your sophomore year there was a flash point for you. What was that?
I went on a trip to Costa Rica. It was it wasn't a service trip really, it was just with our school. And we were, a lot of it was just really outside and being semi-active, hiking and when you're just active and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
It was kind of a trip like that. And just really non-processed food that nourish, just really wholesome, good food the whole time. And they are everyone in Costa Rica is so connected to the world around them. They're so just in touch with nature that it was just so amazing to me. And we were at this coffee plantation and they were explaining why they use organic coffee beans, because if they were to use how they don't use chemicals, because if they were to use chemicals, then when they would wash off the coffee beans, that water would go back into their water and go back into the crops and pollute it. And like it was just described in the most like pure and simple and like obvious way that it's like, what is everyone else doing? Like,
Right, yeah.
You know, if like they can figure out this simple idea of like, well, why would we do that? Because then like we can't use this.
Right,
And like
yeah.
obviously this is why we do that. Like it's like, what in the world are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was just like such a like aha moment of like, you guys are brilliant. Like, you know, and like
The simplicity.
right, and just like how that's like their concern so much is like the environment and just the nature around them. And that's another thing that I feel like I've used to be more passionate about the environment, and now I'm kind of in a current like, can I really make that much of a difference type feeling.
The free rider problem.
Right. And so it's like I do what I can. Like I have a Prius. It's a good time. But like I'm not as passionate about that as I think I used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that like once I came back from that trip, I really got into like just eating more organically and like just like looking for better food, and that kind of that like noticing what I was eating made me like really just get into health. Like it was just kind of like a gradual thing of like I just enjoyed it so much and like started working out more, like because then I was on swimming in high school, and so that was in the fall that was starting, and like things just kind of fell into place. Like I once I was like eating healthier and like feeling better, then I was able to study a lot more and like realize that I could be smart if I tried, and like, you know, and then in May I became a vegetarian, and that just really like kind of kept things going. And yeah, and then I started yoga the winter of that sophomore year because like my shoulders were messed up from swimming, so my mom was like, let's try yoga.
Yeah.
So I did that, and that's what truly like I think what people get from religion, that's what I get from yoga. And so that's why I can understand the idea of religion and why it's so powerful for people. But that's why I don't have like the personal experience.
Yeah.
Is because like
I
just
mean
get it
that's
from
yeah.
outside,
I mean
you know?
you can have the same exact feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. That's really cool.
Yeah. So that was just kind of what started it all. But
So, what are you most passionate about right now? Like, what is more important to you than anything right now?
I like that they're talking about
Yeah, right?
I would say I feel like people are always going to be the thing that's my biggest interest. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like from a personal standpoint, I don't think I could ever like give up yoga. Like I love that so much. But from like a fundamental, like what do you need? Like what do you need to survive? Like
Right.
people energize me. That's like what gets me up in the morning is like thinking about who I'm going to see that day. Like who I'm going to be able to talk to, who I'm going to be able to have an impact with. Like.
Cool.
And that's what really, like, that's why I started teaching yoga, is because I was like, I want to be able to help people, like, regardless of what I'm doing in school. Like, I don't know necessarily what I'm going to study or if PR is going to help me help people
Improve
some
the
way,
world.
but yeah, I like, how am I going to impact the world with that? I don't know. But if I always have yoga on the side, like, always be teaching, then, like, that will be so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it is.
That's awesome.
It is.
It's,
Yeah.
you gotta feel fulfilled.
Right.
Have a purpose.
Yeah.
What would you like to change about yourself?
I think I'm a really big people pleaser. Like I'm really into like
That's you said
Yeah.
saying no
Yeah.
last night. Yeah.
right, and that's the thing is like I like to please people, but also I think it's the developer's strength that I think I'm helping them, and not everyone needs to be helped.
Right.
And like that, there was like one of the bullet points on Tuesday like really resonated with me. I forget the exact wording, but it was basically like, actually I wrote it down because I was like, that is you. Let's find it. I have a page just dedicated to like random things that we say in leadership. But it was basically saying like, resist the temptation to fix things. You may not have the tools to do so, and it might not be broken in the first place.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's true. And I think like that's something that I might think I'm helping, but it could be really off-putting too. Like it could come off as criticism or something
Yeah.
like that, which is like not what I mean by it by any means. Like,
Right.
But I think and it's exhausting. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't,
totally.
You can't, like,
And you can't win them all,
yeah,
too. And
Yeah.
when you don't win them,
yeah.
then it just
You
feels
just
horrible.
have to accept it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm realizing that a lot because I broke up with my boyfriend like right at the beginning of this semester, and that was like our lifestyles are just like complete opposites, and I think I like was always expecting to like rub off on him more, and then when that didn't really happen, then I was just like, okay, we actually have nothing in common. And so I think that like that quote just kind of resonates with that situation of like, you know, you shouldn't have thought you ever were going to change him because maybe he's not broken. You know,
Yeah.
like
Right.
if
Yeah.
that works for him, then
Yeah,
it
for
does.
sure.
You know.
Are you open to change and having people like you say you wanted to rub off on him? Do you think that you are someone that can be rubbed off on?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
That's not a good thing or a bad
Yeah.
thing. I just,
And I really tried to with that. Like with that relationship, I was like, you know, like the fun thing about us not being very similar is like you can teach me things and I can
Right,
teach you things,
yeah.
and like, but that just like, I think it had a lot to do with how busy I was and just like different interests and different motivation levels that we never really did those things that were like, yeah, teach me how to do this and like everything
Right,
like that.
yeah.
Like those like it was a really cool idea, and that's ultimately why I broke up with him. Is I realized I liked the idea of our relationship a lot
But
more than I liked the reality
the
of
action.
it.
Yeah.
And so I semi changed a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I was able to be like more relaxed and realize that certain things were not as important. Like I was definitely impacted by him,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'm easy to change.
Yeah.
And like that's something that, you know, it's like
You're convicted.
Right,
That's,
and, like-
that's not a bad thing either.
yeah. I have a strong sense of self, and I think that makes
That's-
it hard to
Definitely clear.
change. Yeah.
Definitely clear. And it's admirable
Okay.
because it's a good
Yeah.
it's a good self.
Yeah.
It's a good self. I have enough to write 10, 15 pages, I think. Thank you for being a fantastic interviewer.
Thanks. You did a great job interviewing as well. Let's see if my computer died because. Okay, good. It didn't.
Ah!